Hello everyone, my name is Roya and welcome to another Monthly Recommendations. And by the way, Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group created by Between Chapters and Kayla Rain, and I will leave a link to it below. This month's theme is friendship stories. The first two books I have here are The Year of the Flood and Oryx and Crake. Oryx and Crake is the first one and The Year of the Flood is its sequel. They are obviously both by Margaret Atwood because her name is like way bigger on these covers than the title is. They're like look at the title of Oryx and Crake, it's tiny. So Oryx and Crake is about a boy named Jimmy who is best friends with a boy named Crake, and what happens is that they grow up being friends, but at the same time Jimmy doesn't really agree with some of the stuff that Crake does and some of the scientific endeavors that he ends up bringing to life, and yet he still ends up working for him, and they end up sharing the same girlfriend when really Jimmy is the one in love with her and Crake is not. So this is a really good story about two friends who really are friends more out of convenience than anything, and then end up betraying each other in some way. It shows the dynamic of people who grow apart, who like grow up and grow apart, more so than something happens and they walk away from each other or anything like that. It's really odd. This is actually my favorite book of all time and I love it to pieces. The Year of the Flood has something kind of similar going on. Most of this book is kind of like a companion to Oryx and Crake because we get new point of view characters. Because Jimmy is the point of view character in Oryx and Crake, and we get two point of view characters in this one of which is a girl named Amanda. I mean, not Amanda, Wren. A girl named Wren. Amanda is a girl who becomes friends with her. And it's a little bit similar in that it's about two friends who grow apart and then grow back together, or and whatnot. Like it goes through a good chunk of their life, kind of like Oryx and Crake does. And again, it also shows how life events can kind of get in the way of a friendship. Another really interesting friendship story is, of course, Tell Me Again How a Crush Should Feel, and this is, again, another one of my very favorite books. It is actually my all-time favorite contemporary because I'm not a huge contemporary reader, but this book, I just love it to pieces. So it is about a Persian-American girl named Layla who's a closet lesbian, and a new girl comes to her school, and she instantly just, like, thinks that this girl is the shit. So basically, though, that's not the whole story, because a lot of what happens in this book is about her former best friend, Lisa. Lisa comes back into Layla's life. You learn throughout this book what drove them apart, and you see them kind of come back together. And so even though the friendship story is not, like, really this is an LGBT contemporary romance type thing, but really it deals a lot more with friendship than with that, which is really interesting. And there's also all these other dynamics between Layla and all her other friends, like her friends who don't know that she's gay, and just all of this craziness. The next book that I have to recommend as a good friendship story is the Vampire Academy series, and honestly, I would not have included this on this list if I had not read this fourth book, because really, the first three, like, honestly, I wasn't super impressed with for the first three books, but also they don't demonstrate friendship as much. This one, though, the main character spends the whole book apart from her best friend, and we can see what it does to both of them to not be together. It really shows like how deep a friendship can be. And also in this one, like, she just goes out of her way for so many of her friends, and it is just a really good, like, so much deeper than the previous books in the series. And so that's why I had to include this series on this list, because it does have a lot to do with a friendship between the main character Rose and her best friend Lissa, and all of the conflicts that they go through together. And finally, the last book that I have to recommend you guys as a good friendship story is a manga, and that is Fushigi Yugi by Yu Watase. This is actually the first manga I ever read when I was 13 years old, And so basically, this is about a girl named Miyaka and her best friend Yui, and they both get sucked into a book, like literally into the world of the book, and they have to like live in the world of the book and figure out what's going on. And actually, Miyaka ends up in there first, and so on the outside, Yui is reading through the book about what Miyaka is doing, and then Yui ends up getting sucked in. So it starts off as a friendship story with where two girls are so close that they like help each other out from different worlds even, but then once they're both inside of the book, they end up on opposing sides of the war, and Yui blames Miyaka for her being sucked in, and so they hate each other. They become enemies. And then they become friends again, and then they become enemies again. And I don't know, I love stuff like that where so much happens to a friendship that they literally become enemies and then become friends again. So going off of the whole anime thing, since this is a manga, just yeah, going off of the whole anime thing, I also have to recommend Code Geass as a friendship story. I know that is not a manga, so it doesn't really count as a book. It's just an anime, but it is amazing. It also has to do with a lot of similar aspects of friendship that Fushigi Yugi does, where two people are best friends. They grew up together, they're best friends, and they end up on opposing sides of a battle, although at first they don't know that they're on opposing sides of a battle. They seriously become enemies and then friends and then enemies and then friends again. If you like anime, seriously go check that one out. Even if you've only ever seen like one anime and you're not really sure if you like anime, just watch Code Geass and then just tell me you don't like anime. I dare you. So anyway, those are my favorite friendship stories. If you have some friendship stories to share, please leave them in the comments because I would love to check them out. And if you've read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts are too. And I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!